out. Incredible, incredible, incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to day number 6 of the 7-day online bootcamp training. I think over the course of the past 6 days, we have covered so much ground, ladies and gentlemen. We've had the opportunity to teach you guys how to properly launch the newest individual inside of your organization. We've had the opportunity to teach you how to generate leads on social media, to be able to build an online brand and really, really, really be able to capitalize off of that, right? We have the opportunity to teach you guys the mindset of a chairman, right? You guys learn the skill sets that get you paid by Jason Brown, which in my opinion was one of the best trainings inside of the entire week, right? You had the opportunity to learn from me about the levels of leadership and how to truly identify leadership and how to get leaders to the position that they want to be. And today, you get to learn on how to influence people inside and outside of your organization. And guys, I think that Jason, I know that Jason has something powerful in store. You guys want to know something, right? Jason, guys, really, really think about it. Jason influenced me to join his organization originally. Jason influenced Alex Morton to join the business. You see, Jason understands the importance of influence. He understands how to truly influence. And I'm letting you guys know that today, with great power comes great responsibility. And we have to make sure that we're doing this with the proper intentions. We have to make sure that we're doing this with the best of intentions, because at the end of the day, guys, that's what's gonna go ahead and hold clear. So, Jay, should we show them where we're tuning in from today? Sure. We should show them where we're tuning in from today. So, guys, we were talking about quarantining and chilling. That's kind of one of the reasons why we decided to do this boot camp, right? So we figured, what better place to quarantine? Let's go. Check it out, guys. Talk about manifestation. This place looks like a damn hotel in here. Should we go upstairs? Let's go upstairs. Let's go upstairs. Let's go more upstairs. We're out here right now on a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful 107-foot yacht. And the reason that we did so is just to get outside of the house, to remind ourselves why it is that we're grinding, as hard it is that we have been working. And despite the fun, despite the good times, despite the distractions, we refuse to allow that to be a reason as to why we're not getting the grind in. A lot of people have been stripped of all distractions, and instead of being proactive about their approach, instead of being proactive about the time that they're allowed, they've gone ahead and they've created new distractions. They've gone ahead and they've created new distractions in an era where literally all distractions have been stripped from you. And I was listening to one of Alex Morton's Instagram lives yesterday, and he said, take this time to literally learn something new. I was listening to Mr. Teacups on I'm on all these calls, right? I was listening to Mr. Teacups, and he said, you pray all night. Yo, Teacups said this. He said, you pray all night for success and breakthroughs, but then you wake up in the morning and turn on the PS4. I mean, we got nothing wrong with playing video games and killing time and having a good time, but I'm letting you know right now, if you are not where it is that you want to be, if you are not at the chairman rank, if you are not making this thing happen, then take this time that God has allowed us, that the universe has truly allowed us to have, and utilize it to your best capability. And during this moment, we have the opportunity to really thrive off of social media, to really, really thrive off of developing a brand, to really, really thrive off of being able to do that. And in turn, it is teaching us how to influence. And I truly believe that influencing people is not getting them to do what it is that you want, but getting them to do what it is that they need to. It's not about getting them to do what it is that you want. It's about getting them to do what it is that they need to. Think about it. According to Tony Robbins says, if you want to influence somebody, you have to know what already influences them. Not what influences you, but literally what influences them. So with that being said, guys, you guys are going to learn about influencing people before they join the business and influencing leaders after they join the business. Influence doesn't just stop after the transaction. It is a lifelong process. Now, with that being said, guys, there's some house rules, and you guys already know them if you've been on all. Guys, drop a 000 if you've been on all of the calls, all of the boot camps. Drop a 000 if you've been on every single boot camp. You haven't missed one. Oh, we got a lot of people in here that have been tuned in nonstop. Respect to you guys. You guys are as consistent as us because we haven't missed one either. So with that being said, guys, some of the ground rules. Very simple. Very, very simple, guys. First and foremost, you need to be taking notes. This is not suggestion. This is instruction, right? You got to be taking notes because it is a proven fact. You only retain about 5% of what it is that you learn if you don't write this thing down anyways. The second thing that you're going to have to learn is that this is not about what you can do. So what if you have this information? So what if you're taught this information? If you're not able to teach this information, it's not going to duplicate. What you're able to teach is able to duplicate. Duplication leads to momentum 10 times out of 10. So with that being said, guys, I want to bring up my big brother, one of the biggest influencers inside of the industry that I know. You see, sometimes I think that the law of familiarity plays a massive role even after you're inside of the organization, especially after you're inside of the organization. As I walk around with Jason, we go to all these different conventions. We go to GoPro, we go to A&MP. We're always at networking events. And I realize how much influence this individual has, not just inside of his circle, but outside of the circle. You see, influencing is not just necessarily about the people that you come in contact with, but the people that are watching that still are able to react in a certain manner when you never even had communication with him. And I see the influence that this guy has on a day-to-day basis. I see what it is that he's able to do in and outside of the business. Literally everybody that comes into contact with him is influenced in one way or another, right? So with that being said, guys, there's not a better person. We just cracked 2,000 people on the call. They're ready for you, Jay. There is not a better person to learn how to influence from than my brother, Chairman 500, Mr. Jason Brown. You guys, let's drop a 777. Matter of fact, let's drop an 888 inside of the chats for infinite growth with my brother, Jason Brown. Take some notes, y'all. Wash your hands. Get ready.
Wash your hands. Unbelievable. What's up, guys? Super.
Drop it, bro. Give it to them.
The only thing I dropped so far was this iPad. What's up, guys? Super excited to be here. Day 6 of Chairman Bootcamp. Matt and I, Saturday, we've been locked up in the crib for quite some time, so we decided to take a boat with some close friends, and we said, hey, let's do it from the boat. So we're pumped up, guys. I'm excited. It's such an amazing time to be a part of a community and a culture that is really making a difference in communities, really making a difference in different countries, really making a difference around the world in a number of different demographics, in really any demographic, men, women, younger people, older people, college students, professionals. And right now is, I think, the best time for people to sit down and learn new skills because, the future is undeniable. Technology is undeniable, and you can stick to the old ways. And look, some of the old ways are always going to be the ways. We're always going to need labor workers. We're always going to need contractors. We're always going to need mechanics. We're always going to need certain things for the world to function. But at the end of the day, there is a space and a time, and the time is right now to understand what is working in this world. And I think it's funny because Matt wanted me to talk about influence. And at first I was sitting there thinking there's maybe 15 to 20 minutes of content to talk about because I think influence has been covered on a number of these, social media bootcamp calls that we did the other day. The leadership, the levels of leadership that Matt did yesterday has a lot to do with influence and connecting and stuff like that. So a lot of the training that we've already done is basically helping you become a leader and helping you build influence. But then I really started thinking about the depth of influence and the psychology of influence. And, I think at the core foundation of, just being a leader, I always talk about this, but that core, that foundation is consistency. Because, you know, we could sit here and train till we're blue in the face. We can sit here and teach and answer questions. And, you know, yeah, last night I did a call with Alicia Bush, Chairman 10, and her, you know, 130 leaders. And we talked a lot about, you know, influence and what it takes to become a leader. And what's up, Naomi? What's up, guys? If you were on that call last night, that was lit. I came in that call like 6 calls deep. I was fired up, and we had fun. But, you know, I want to tell you guys that consistency is the foundation to all things. Consistency, thank you, Josephine, because that type of feedback is incredible. But consistency is the foundation to all things. And as long as you make a decision to become successful, then you are on the right track. You know, and look, there's a lot of different opinions and a lot of different ways that somebody can, you know, that somebody can build this business. There's a lot of different ways that somebody can, you know, create themselves into a leader, right? Because I always tell people, you don't have to change in order to become a leader. You have to elevate who you already are. And being a professional, making a decision to go from immature to amateur to professional is the best decision you're ever going to make. See, I realized that in my opinion, I realized that, yes, you know, I was working with younger people. Yes, a lot of the people that I was working with had never been business owners before. They had never marketed before. They had never led before. I knew that. So I got started in network marketing when I was 23 years old. I got started in network marketing basically 6.5, 7 years ago. And I understood that a lot of the people around me had never been in a position where they weren't an employee, right? Or where they didn't work for their parents, or, you know, some people never worked a job before. And so, you know, to say to somebody like that, hey, look, it's time to step up. You know, it's time to lead. It's time to become responsible. It's time to create a schedule. It's time to be coachable. You know, I hate reading books. It's time to read books. You know, my mentor told me, bro, it's time to read some books. And I was like, what did you just say? I hate books, bro. The last book that I read was Harry Potter. You know, the last book that I read before that was Holes. And I don't think I've ever read a book besides those, you know? So, you know, when I realized, like, hey, look, Jay, if you want to make this work, some things have to change. And then I started to see what, hey, Holes, if you guys read Holes, that book, Stanley Yelnats, that book is lit. All right, let me tell you something. Probably the only book I've read twice, for real, besides How to Win Friends and Influence People and Building an Empire. I can't even tell you. But anyway, you know, guys, influence is so natural, you know, and that's when I started to think about, you know, Matt and I, we created these topics, and then we said we'll go every other day, and I saw influence fall on me, and I said, look, I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be a 20-25 minute training, and we really want to make these like an hour long. And then I started to understand that influence is so much deeper, because a lot of people think that influence is, you know, a skill. And I'm going to be honest, influence is not a skill. It's not. Influence is something you become, right? Influence is something that you develop. Influence is something that it's almost like, if I could describe it at the highest level, it's almost like an energy that just comes off of you when you grow as a person. Because understand, everybody follows everybody. Everybody follows somebody. Sorry, not everybody follows everybody. Everybody follows somebody, right? No matter what, whether, you know, we're following a leader in a business, or we're following a spiritual mentor, or we're following, you know, intuition, we're following, you know, the signs of the universe, we're following God, we're following whoever, right? Or whatever. Everybody follows somebody. And for us as leaders, it's important to position yourself for success. So this call is really not about just the external process of being a leader, but it's really about the internal process of becoming a leader. The internal process of making the adjustments before you make the mistakes, right? Making the change, seeing the changes that need to take place before the mistake happens, before the failure happens, right? Removing the negative people from your life before they make your life negative, right? Creating a positive environment so that you are absorbed in that energy. And when you are in love with something that you do, right? When you are a role model, when you are a trendsetter, when you are an example setter, when you are dedicated, influence is something that you develop. It's something internal. And I want to read you guys the definition of influence. Let me read you guys the definition of influence straight off of Google. Let me read this to you. I had it up, but my phone got out of Chrome. So influence, okay, is the capacity to have an effect on the character development, the behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself. The capacity to have an effect on the character development or the behavior of someone or something. So understand that the law of association plays a huge role in the development of influence. See, a lot of us want to build a huge group. A lot of us want to help people win with trading. A lot of us want the result, right? But understand the result is not just built in the compensation plan. The result is not just built on the Zoom calls. Last night I challenged Alicia's organization, before you go to sleep, and I've done this with a bunch of my teams. Understand, I tell them, every one of you, contact 10 new people off social media before you go to sleep and send 3 gratitude messages to random new people, not random people, but to new people every night. So maybe one night you text your mom, your aunt, and your cousin. And the next night you text your neighbor, your old coworker, and your uncle. And look, 3 gratitude messages before you go to sleep to 3 new people every night, and contact 10 random people off a social media platform before you go to sleep. So you're making 13 actions. And how many of you guys have been on a call with me where I told you to do this and you did it? And give me your feedback. It works. Look, me, it's working. The actions, I mean like 13 actions, right? So the text to 3 people saying, look, I'm grateful for you, I appreciate you, that's an action, right? So 3 of those plus 10 actions. What I mean by an action there is that, you're messaging 10 random people on social media. So 13 actions. It's not that hard to do, right? We sit on our phone and we scroll and we're watching influencers, right? We're watching our favorite athletes. We're watching our favorite leaders. Well, I'm telling you, before you go to sleep, message 3 people a message of gratitude, okay? And message 10 random people that you do not know. Shut your phone down, and when you wake up in the morning, you start the day with positivity. You start the day with feedback. You start the day with momentum, okay? So that's what I mean by that. But let's focus. You can do it whenever you want, but I think it's so important to do it at night, so when you wake up in the morning, you have momentum. So you guys can do it during the day, but I'm saying do it before you go to sleep as well. Do it before you go to sleep as well, because you will wake up in the morning, okay, with 3. I'm gonna shut the chat for a minute so we can focus. But I appreciate you guys. So I don't want to put you in a corner, but I can't even. My screen froze. But I want to be able to focus so we don't get sidetracked here. I don't know what happened. Hopefully you guys can still hear me, because now my screen is frozen. But the core to creating influence is who you become. And how funny, how ironic, how significant that our company is What Will You Become, right? I Am Mastery Academy. What will you become? See, guys, this is so much bigger than trading Forex. It's so much bigger than hitting a rank. Guys, this company is so like focused on making an impact on people that naturally, if you make that decision to be committed, the influence starts to come off you like a radiation, okay? And as you elevate who you are, right? As you become a better version of yourself, as you take your skill sets to the next level, your consistency, goes 3, 6, 10, 12, 14, 24 months, right? As you get deep in the game, I want to make sure that you guys, my screen is frozen. As long as I'm still streaming, I'm good. I can't see anything, but can one of the chairmen, so we have our chairman chat. Let me just see. I just want to make sure because I don't know what happened. My screen is frozen. Can you hear me? Ricky. Okay, thank you. Good. I just want to make sure because my screen, it just says recording and I don't see anything else. But as long as you guys can hear me, I don't care about that. So influence is something that you become. Now, look, we all want the big results. And I'm going to go back to this now. We all want the big results. But understand that if your leadership is one-dimensional, then you are only going to attract one dimension of person into your business. If you're marketing, if the energy you're putting out, if just the focus of your marketing, I guess that's really just what it is. Just the focus of your marketing is for 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old kids, then that's what you're going to attract. If you are, very, aggressive alpha male, right, then you're going to attract and build an organization of alpha males, right? If you're a woman and you are creating a culture of women, successful women, right, be conscious. And this goes for everybody. You will attract a bunch of women into your group. So no matter what it is, if it's a religious culture, if it's a, gender culture, if it's a, sports team culture, if it's just your city culture, if it's a country culture, then if it's an older people culture, if it's a teacher culture, if it's a younger people, just understand that your culture will attract more of that. Okay? So if you want to build just a team of women, then, and that's what you want to do, then that's what you continue to do. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I want to be able to work with anybody. I want anybody who has a desire to win to see me as a mentor. So my vibe is neutral, right? I never push one way or the other. I don't involve politics. I don't involve any of that type of, controversial topic. I don't ever comment on anything that's really going on because, sometimes you share your political beliefs on social media and you push away 50% of the people. You might be a Democrat, you push away the Republicans. You might be a Republican, you push away the Democrats. And you never know, right? You might be pro-female, right? All about having a team full of women, but you're not going to have any men in your group. Or you might be like, if your team is all men and you're not like really women just don't feel comfortable joining your group, then you're either cool with leaving it that way or you got to make some adjustments, okay? Because, a lot of the times what happens is we build a team and our influence is so niche specific, right? The way that we talk, what we post on social media is so niche specific that we actually end up turning more people off than turning more people on to our leadership, more people excited about working with us. And I can tell you guys, I have personally enrolled dozens of women, dozens of men, older people, younger people, Black, white, Asian, Spanish, different religions, because at the end of the day, I'm not perfect. I'm sure that I've made mistakes, but I have this neutral approach to the influencer that I want to be. And I want to be respectful to everybody. So my social media posts, I'm not ashamed that I believe in God, right? I'm not ashamed of my belief, but I also acknowledge everybody else. You guys have probably heard me talk about it, but I say, look, whether you believe in God, if you believe in nothing, if you're this, if you're that, Muslim, da-da-da-da-da, doesn't matter. I respect that, right? I even give, acknowledgement to the universe, whatever. Because at the end of the day, Okay, I think we're here. Can you guys hear me? Yes, 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 we're back. That was so weird. It just straight kicked me off. It wasn't even an internet problem. It was just my iPad crashed. All right. Hey, look, as long as you guys can hear me, we're good. So good. Lost you, we're back. It's not the internet. I have good internet. So there we go. I see what happened. Whatever happened when my screen froze, I think it just took some time for it to register. All right, good. But we're here. We got 2,500 people on here. We're rocking. So what I'm saying, here's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, number one, the first step of influence is consistency, right? Because you want to be neutral. This Brianna. All right, let me shut the chat box down so we can focus here. I'll open it back up if I need to. There you go. They want us. All right. So number one, to create influence, you must be consistent above all things to have true influence, because people see everything. People see everything. I cannot tell you how many times through the years I've gotten phone calls from people's, leaders saying, look, I'm worried about so-and-so. Or sometimes they're like, yo, I don't want to work with this person anymore because of this behavior, right? This thing that they did. I've had people call me and say, look, my mentor, brought weed to a party. And they're like, I don't agree with that. And look, if you want to do your thing, if you want to party, if you want to drink, if you want to smoke, and it doesn't get in the way of your business, I'm not your boss, right? I'm not on this call to tell you what to do. I'm here on this call today to tell you what has worked for me and what I believe will work for you. But if you want to do your thing, I'm cool with that. See, when I wanted to elevate my leadership, I stopped. I used to smoke weed when I was in college. I stopped because at the end of the day, I thought that would take me to the next level. But that was my personal decision. I'm not here to judge anybody. But understand that sometimes you could develop influence. And let me tell you this. You could develop influence and it doesn't happen overnight. You developing influence will take 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey to prove that theory. But let me tell you something. You can lose influence with one bad decision. You could lose influence in one day. I've seen leaders lose influence in 1 hour. And a lot of that has to do with your level of emotional intelligence. Because at the end of the day, guys, if you have your vices, you need to do that in an environment that is not around your leaders, that is not around the people that are supposed to be looking at you as a leader. You need to do that in a place where, maybe you're with your homies. You need to do that off social media. You need to do that, okay, in a concealed environment. And you honestly, as a mentor, I'm going to tell you, you really need to look at your vices in 2020 and say, look, if I want to go the distance, if I really want consistent results trading, if I really want consistent results in my team, if I want to go, P5, Chairman 10, whatever, then maybe some of those vices need to die. Because as a mentor, there was a time when I've had to tell people the truth. And sometimes being a mentor is hard because you got to be the bearer, not of bad news, of reality. You have to be the bearer of reality. And I've had to call a lot of our leaders over the past 3 years and say, look, I believe this is in the way. I believe you going to the club needs to come off social media. I believe that, you drinking on social media needs to come off social media. I believe that your political views need to come off social media, because one mistake can ruin 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months of you becoming an influencer. It can die overnight. Understand that the individuals who enrolled Matt and I into this company ruined their influence overnight. They destroyed it overnight because of decisions that they made. Overnight. You can lose everything overnight that you spent years building. So I'm not saying this to scare you, to push fear upon you because I'm the most abundant person you'll ever meet. But I'm saying this because I care about you guys. I care about this company. I care about my leaders who are on this call because I know the chairman that I love and respect that are on this call. And I'm telling you the truth. If you guys want to hold this influence, then certain things need to go in the back of the filing cabinet and they need to stay there. And certain things that you do don't go on social media anymore. Guys, sometimes I don't actually really go out that much anymore, but even when we go to the club, like if we were to go out, if we're out having a good time, I don't put that stuff on social media. Not because I'm ashamed of it, but because I understand that that's not the behavior that I want to duplicate. And most importantly, it's not the behavior that I want to attract. It's not the behavior that I want to attract. I want to attract hardworking people. And to be honest, the leaders that set the culture of going out and partying, whatever, those people that you attract oftentimes will never take the business that serious, right? The political view people are always getting tied up. The conspiracy theory people are always looking for a conspiracy. The drama people are always looking for drama. So whatever you project out to the universe, you will attract that in return. But we need to be, as influencers, very conscious of what we put out into that universe. Because is that what you want? When you go to battle, look to your left, that soldier and that soldier, is that what you want them to be focused on? Is that what you want them to be addicted to? Is that what you want them to be focused on? Think about that. That's why, people will say like, bro, it's so crazy because you were not making a lot of money and you were able to bring Alex Morton to the company. And I laugh when people say that because at the end of the day, I'm God's highest form of creation, just like the rest of you on this call. And just like Alex Morton, if you cut us both open, we both bleed blood. I'm pretty sure Alex is a human being. Sometimes I'm like, man, that guy is real good. But guys, we're the same. So just because somebody has a rank, that doesn't make them great. Your rank will not make you an influencer. It's funny, but trust me, I've got platinum 2000s that are more influential than a chairman, whatever. Believe me. I have platinum 1000s that are better influencers and more influential than a rank 10 times above them. But I understood that because I was consistent on social media, because I was always posting, things to encourage people, because I would always be, at the event, the last one there, right? Picking up chairs, helping people, that if my leadership spoke for itself, then I can influence anybody. And it's funny because Alex used to be a mentor to me and now he's a friend. And honestly, at this point, Alex is still a mentor to me, but we really work together, right? Sometimes him and I get on a call, we're just brainstorming, going back and forth. So technically we kind of mentor each other and we're business partners because the level of influence will grow over time. And then at the end of the day, remember that, influence is something you become. So my point of this whole first 20, 30 minutes that we're on this call is that I really want you guys to elevate where you're at. You don't need to be something that you're not. If you are a brand, if you are, a certain way, if you do certain things and that's who you are, don't change that, right? I've always been a guy who would rather, grind all day, work all day, play some video games at night than go out and party. That's always been who I am. I'd rather sit down and play board games with my friends than go out to the club. I'd rather play Call of Duty with my friends than go out to the club. 10 times out of 10. I'd rather work a 14-hour day so my mom doesn't have to than go out and party. That's always been who I am. I'm not going to change that, right? And some people are like, bro, that's corny. But you don't need to change who you are. Be who you are, but elevate all those X factors. Become a better version of yourself. And I've watched so many of our leaders become a better version of who they are. When I first met Cash the Great, Cash had influence, but he was niche. He was niche specific because Cash is very aggressive in his beliefs. His story is incredible. And he's come from like a really tough place in his life to a place where he has a daughter, he has responsibilities. So, through the time that I met Cash a few years ago to today, the influence that Matt and I have really set out to create has also influenced Cash to show up to events with a suit on, right? To, maybe lose some of the profanity or some of the stories that used to be involved in his presentations, right? You look at Darwin, right? We used to laugh, but Darwin and Emery are Chairman 100 for a reason. And they're going to continue to go forward in their business because they continue to develop who they are. And with that, their influence develops. So they're broadening their ray of attraction, right? They're broadening who feels comfortable being in the business with them. They're broadening who they're bringing into the company, right? They're broadening. They're not just, recruiting, a bunch of guys like 4 or 5 years ago. Their team was all men. Now they have so many women in their team. And a lot of that has to do with the influence inside of that culture. So what I really just wanted to get across is, look, guys, be consistent, elevate who you are, right? Put out the message that you want to attract, and influence becomes something simple. Because now, on top of everything that I taught the other day on the social media bootcamp, the attraction marketing, you reaching out to people and all this stuff, guys, people are going to start scouting you. And you made it as a leader when people start prospecting you. In the past 2 years, I've had dozens of people message me that I did not know. Maybe some of them are even on this call. A few of them hit P600 last night, and one of them's about to hit P6 in the next 2 days, right? And these are people that I've enrolled in the past few months. And all of their message was very similar. They said, look, Jay, I've been watching you for a while. I've been watching IM for a while. And you're the leader that I want to join. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that gets those messages. But it's funny because all those people that I sponsor from messages like that, they're very similar to my vibration, right? They work super hard. They don't, honestly, they're all super low maintenance. They don't blow my phone up. They're not, making excuses. They're not whining. They're not crying. They're professional. I teach them a few things and they just go, 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 go. And that's refreshing as a leader, to know that I've had to go through 6.5 years of developing myself, and 6.5 years of personal development, 6.5 years of emotional construction, 6.5 years of failure to continue to make adjustments, continue to shift, right? We talk about that shift, continue to shift, continue to shift, continue to shift. Because yes, guys, I've made a lot of mistakes. But to get to that point, you're like, damn, all those boot camps that I got on, it's day 6. Some of you guys are tired of jotting down notes. We were on Alicia's team call last night. I was like telling people, I'm watching them on the screen, and they're like this, literally the whole time. Imagine for an hour, you're just like crazy, bro. They're like, it hurts, right? Sometimes to become a leader. 8-hour convention, 2-3 days straight. But if growth is the focus, then growth is what you will receive. And when you grow, your influence grows. But let me tell you something. Influence is not how many followers you have on social media. Influence is not how many likes you get on a post. I used to think, but it's not. Because I get thousands of likes on every post that I make, but I don't get thousands of signups from those posts. So that can't be influence. Influence is deeper than that. Influence is your positioning as a leader. And when people look at you and they say, this is the person that I trust, this is the person that if they walk into a burning building, I have the confidence that they know where they're going. I have the confidence that they have a game plan. I have the confidence that if I have to go to war with this individual, they're gonna succeed in this battle. That's true influence. And when you become that influencer, you never have to beg somebody to join your business. People will beg you to join your business. You don't have to beg somebody for you to become their mentor. People will ask for your mentorship because it's the development of that knowledge and information, right? It's the pursuit of wisdom, the pursuit of humility. Because another thing that will kill influence is ego. Influence can be built but ego destroys it. And, you know, I can sit here till I'm blue in the face and tell you story after story after story after story of leaders that came into our company, hit ranks, had momentum, and it all falls apart within a year or 2 years. And ego, bad habits, bad decisions are always the reason why. Because eventually people will realize this is not my leader. They are not influencing me in any way, shape, or form. So what do? They go find another company. They go find another opportunity. They wait 6 months and go to a different team. And to be honest, people get upset about that. And I would just tell you, look, I never get upset, because if somebody doesn't see the value of my leadership, I can't be mad at them. I got to be more internal and more observation-based with myself and say, you know, I set out to be a world-class leader. I set out, I think every single day that I want to be the best leader that I can be. And being the best leader isn't sitting on the throne. The best leader, whether you believe the story, whether you believe in the Bible, whether you believe in Jesus or not, if you look, people called Jesus a king, but he never sat on a throne. Jesus sat with the people. He sat on concrete with cripples. He hung out with people who are broken. You know, to be a king or a queen does not mean you're dripped out in Gucci. It doesn't mean that you need designer to be a chairman. It doesn't mean that you need baguettes on your wrist. It doesn't mean that you need diamond necklaces. It doesn't mean that you need to go blow your whole check on the newest off-white. It doesn't mean that because you see people that have nice things, that those are the nice things that you need. It doesn't mean that you need a specific type of car to be an influencer or be a leader. All that material stuff is useless. I'm wearing a $10 tank top that I've had since college. You don't need to be a leader. You don't need to be a material possession guy or girl to be a leader and influencer. You need to be real. You need to be real. You need to be genuinely able to help people. You need to be genuinely willing to seek wisdom so you can truly be a mentor. Because I can tell you something, and my leaders who work with me on a day-to-day basis that are on this call will tell you this is the truth. If they have a problem, I won't sleep if I can't help them solve it. I won't stop until I find a solution. And sometimes, I'll be real, sometimes I'm like, damn, this one is different. I've never had to deal with this before. I've never had to get through this before. But as a leader, you don't stop till the success is the outcome. You don't stop if you truly care about people. And when you truly care about people, that, my friends, that's true influence. That's impact. That's making a difference. Not who's got the coolest videography, who's got the best pictures, who's got the best captions, who's got the best, wardrobe, who's got the best cars. That's all BS, to be real. It's cool. Hey, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I didn't go spend money on certain things, because I did. And I don't mind having some nice bomber jackets. I don't mind having a nice place that I live. But if you think that that defines influence, I hope you get off this call and you understand that that has nothing to do with it. Because I remember going to my first convention, and I felt so small. I've never really opened up about this, but I went to my first convention 6 years ago, and I felt so small because I was excited. I had a decent team, 30, 40, 50 people. And then I go to this convention and there's 10,000 people. And I go in there, I just felt so small, all the leaders were sitting up front. I was in the back. I saw a red carpet with people that I looked up to, and they were on one side and I was on the other, and it wasn't on the red carpet side. I remember that there was food for the six-figure earners, and we had to go, quick run across the street to grab whatever we could find before the conference started. I remember all these things. I felt like this big. I was like, man. I was like, damn, I gotta get back to work. It actually inspired me. But 3 or 4 people came up to me that I didn't know and said, hey, bro, like they thought I was a chairman in that company. These people, they thought that I had a big team. They thought, and they said, all of them said, bro, I see every post you make on social media. I see all the good stuff you put out. I've seen your lives. I've seen your, recordings on YouTube, whatever. Like, I've heard you on your training calls. I used to get on like a couple calls with Alex. He invited me to. And my influence, my perception was that I was this big, but my influence was this big. And then it became this big, and then it became this big, and then it became this big. And eventually, some of those people wanted to join my team. Some of those people wanted to work with me. Some of those people consider me a mentor. And so the only thing that I can tell you is that if you guys really want results, if you really want to build influence, influence is here. Influence is internal. Influence is your heart. Influence is your intentions. Influence is your why. Influence is you understanding the why of other people. Influence is the character, right? Let's read it again. Let's read it again. The capacity to have an effect on the character development or the behavior of someone or something. Guys, very simple. Influence is what you become. Think about what you want in your business. Think about what you want to duplicate. Think about who you want to attract. Then you will become an influencer. Then the likes on social media will happen. Then the followers will happen. Then the ranks will happen. And all of it will seem bittersweet at the end, but it hurts in the beginning. Because sometimes you won't see the fruits of your labor in the season you're in. It's just like agriculture. Think about agriculture. It's the same as leadership. It's the same as building influence. It's the same as getting momentum. In agriculture, you have a seed, and you put that seed in soil based on faith, based on evidence that it's worked in the past, based on, you've eaten that fruit and you're just hoping that you can create it yourself, right? But it's really based on evidence that planting that seed and watering it will eventually create the same result that has happened before. Well, guess what? That's the art of developing influence. That's the art of becoming a chairman. You have to plant the seed in the right soil and with faith that eventually you will duplicate the outcome of someone who's already duplicated it. I had to go all in, 70 grand in debt over 3 years of being in network marketing, hoping that the seeds that I was planting were going to create the same farm that I used to stand on the other side of the ropes watching. I used to stand on the other side of the ropes watching people go across that red carpet and thinking, I've been working long days. I've been talking to a lot of people. I've been posting on Instagram like Jason and Matt told me. I've been doing the meetings. I've been doing the one-on-ones. But I have faith that because this same seed was planted in the right soil and it has created a result for somebody else, that it will create a result for me. That is the only thing that I can tell you, is that you have to work understanding that the seeds you plant in season A won't create a result in season A. Unless you want to grow weeds. Weeds grow very fast, but guess what happens to weeds? They get pulled out. Weeds die. Weeds don't last. It's the law of 90 days. Some of you guys have heard me talk about the law of 90 days. That what you do today, you won't see tomorrow. That what you do today, you can expect to see the results in about 90 days. So if you become a better person today, get back on your spiritual development today, get on these calls today, start doing the 13 actions, right? Start doing the, 3 messages of gratitude, 10 messages to random people, that you won't see those results tomorrow. You may get some replies, but you won't see the results tomorrow. But if you continue to do that behavior 90 days from now, 91 days from now, 92 days from now, 93 days from now, that's when you're going to see the results. And it's just the faith that you have to go on, understanding that that same seed has been planted before. Let me get some water. That same seed has been planted before. And if you plant it again, in the right soil, and you water it, and you take care of it, that eventually that same result can happen. That's the type of faith you need to have to go Chairman 10. And the more energy you put towards that seed, the more affirmation, positive affirmation you put towards that seed, the more care, the more detail, the better your result. That's what you have to go your base on. So what I want to do real quick is I want to open up for the last few minutes of this call, the chat box. And if you guys have questions specific to this topic, I'm going to answer questions specific to this topic. I would like for you to drop them in that chat box, and hopefully my screen doesn't freeze. And if you guys got value from this training, if you guys got this training, a value from this training, I would love to see that feedback. I would love to see that feedback. And so let me look for some of these questions. Okay. Well, let's see. All right, some good questions. I just want to prioritize some of these. Okay, so how do you lose an ego? That's a good one to start with. Well, first off, the key to losing an ego, okay? First off, the key to losing the ego is identifying that you have it and identifying the properties of that ego, right? Where you need to sit back and understand where the ego is in the way. Because you cannot become an influencer to the masses if that ego is in the way. But if you don't know the ego is there and you don't have a willingness to get rid of it, it's always going to be there. And, you know, Jan Kudnik, Chairman 10 from Czech Republic, is on the call right now. And he said, tell them my story. So now that I have permission, I'll tell you the story of how when I first started working with Jan, he had maybe 30 people in his team. And Jan's an athlete, Jan's aggressive, and Jan had an ego. And enough time of struggling, doing it his way, allowed me as a mentor to start to do it my way. To say, hey, Jan, you've been doing it your, hold on one second, guys. Sorry, these guys are bumping Bad Bunny, but I just want to tell them to hold tight for about 10 minutes. Okay, SWAT's coming. No, there ain't no SWAT, but they're bumping Bad Bunny. They're doing TikTok things over here, and I'm like, listen, you guys gotta kill that music, or give me like 10, 15 minutes with my people over here. So let me tell you something. Okay, Matt loves Bad Bunny. He's having too much fun over here. All right, so the development of ego. Hold on one second, guys. Hold on, I'll be back. I promise. Okay, I just want to make sure they turn off the music. Got it. Thank you. Okay. So I talked to, let me close the chat because we have a ton of questions. And I don't like leaving people hanging. So let's go through this. So let me just tell you quickly about Jan. Sometimes as a leader, it's hard because you see that somebody's way is not working. Maybe their way is too aggressive. Maybe their way is too passive. Maybe their ego's in the way. Maybe their way of thinking is holding them back from going to the next level. But as a mentor, I've always believed that you don't just go in on the attack, because when you attack, people put up their defense. So I needed to show Jan before I could become his mentor. I needed to show him that I was on his side. I needed to show him that I was also there to be his friend, but there would be an arm's distance in between that friendship so that I could also stay as his mentor. So we would laugh, but we would also have a serious time. And I let him do it his way. And his way wasn't bad. And a lot of times your way is not bad. But in order to become a bigger influencer in his team, in order to get the respect from his groups, I needed him to fail or to get stuck so that he would come and say, I need your help. Or so that I could say, hey, Jan, you know, we did this event, but this is how we could have done it better. And so to drop ego, well, first off, you have to identify that ego is within you. Okay. Now for me, what destroyed my ego was God. What destroyed my ego was finding Stephen Furtick. Okay. If you guys are looking for a spiritual mentor that is not aggressive, it's not religion, it's not, and I don't like that type of stuff, right? Like I believe in God, but I don't like the aggressive, like, you got to be this way, you got to be perfect, because that's never been written about. That's just religion. But I love Stephen, and I'm a little biased to it because the way he approaches it is very inviting, and it allowed me to develop a relationship with God, to develop a familiarity with God without feeling any type of pressure. And it's on YouTube, Stephen Furtick. And I would just go and look for one of the titles to his videos that I felt like, man, this could actually help me. And guys, it helped me, number one, become emotionally intelligent. It helped me, number two, become more patient. Number three, become a better leader. Number three, become a better mentor. But most importantly, it helped me destroy my ego. And whether it's that or whatever, meditation can sometimes help you destroy your ego. And everybody has their own way. But you have to first identify that the ego's in the way. And then you need to find something bigger, much bigger than you. Because remember, the true kings and queens of the world don't sit on a throne. Big facts. Okay. So that's the ego thing. We're going to end up going a little bit more because the Q&A right now is popping off. Sana. Yo, can we? Sana, I don't want to blow up the chat box for you right now because there's a lot of good stuff here in the chat box, and I don't want to lose the questions. But for all 6 days of this boot camp, you are a machine. Like, that's it. I mean, you guys want to see influence and leadership. Sana is a great example. Sitting here, taking notes, sharing notes, right? That's another part of influence, is understanding that it's not just for you. It's about sharing what you know. It's about teaching what you know. So hats off to you, Sana. We salute you. I appreciate you. So Gabe asked, Jason, what if people on my team just don't believe in themselves? How do I inspire a genuine desire in my team? Well, look, you know, the world that we live in is tough because regardless of this current scenario, regardless of what we're going through right now in this moment, you know, we are more bound to negativity, right? We lean more towards negativity. Sometimes we attract more towards negativity because you never see positive stories on the news. You never, hear great things that are free and available to the public. If you want to find great things, you got to go to private places like this Zoom call or like a Tony Robbins conference, or, you got to follow the right people on social media, or, I don't know, be a part of a little niche group, watch podcasts. Like the great people that genuinely have an interest in making the world a better place, it's not, unfortunately, what has been pushed out to the public. It's not always what has been made free. And often those messages are there when we're children, right? The children's books we read, but then it becomes kind of corny to be positive, right? When you're a teenager, our society starts moving more towards, emo music, punk rock music. And, we start watching World Star Hip Hop, and, we start listening to different music, and then it becomes kind of corny to absorb positive vibes and to create positive vibes. And then as we become adults, we have a decision to make, right? Do we want to live a life of positivity, or do we want to live a life of negativity? And a lot of times the music that people have listened to, the influencers people have followed, the messages that people have gotten, it has validated their dark thoughts and overshadowed their good ones. And, I love Post Malone. I would say Post Malone, J. Cole, and Drake are probably my 3 favorite artists. And, Post Malone is a great artist. I love him. He's talented. And, but if you listen to some of his lyrics, some of them are dark, right? Some of them are aggressive. And I just, I went to a Post Malone concert in New York, And most of the people there were young kids, and I can listen to that music and enjoy his talent, enjoy, some of the messages, enjoy that stuff. And I'm consciously aware enough to not absorb some of that negativity. I'm conscious enough to listen to rap and listen past some of the things I don't agree with. But you think about the 12, 13, 14-year-old kids who haven't made a decision about what their life really is yet. They haven't made a decision about who they really want to be. Some of them are lost. They're going through first heartbreak. They're going through, trying to figure out, who they are as a person. Some of them don't even know they're people yet. And then these are the messages that they listen to. These are the things that they hear, and it might validate their darkest thoughts. And so because of the fact that, we are so free, content is out there, and people will typically migrate to whatever they know is there. We have to be strong as leaders and understand that there are going to be a lot of people that join our group that struggle with that internal, right? They struggle with belief. They struggle with, self-doubt. They struggle with self-confidence. They struggle with fear. They struggle with scarcity. They struggle with finances. And that's where influence becomes so pivotal, so important, and so unbelievable. Because through influence, my proudest moments as a leader are not hitting ranks. My proudest moments of leaders, my proudest moment of being a leader, all of my proudest moments of being a leader are seeing somebody who was broken when they started and thriving 6 months in, thriving 12 months in, different 6 months in. I've got some guys that I'm friends with, some girls that I'm friends with in the team that are just broken, or they were broken. And maybe I met them at an event and we connected on Instagram, and, we text back and forth all the time. And, a few of them I'm so proud of because, maybe there was a time when they were, down to their last money, or living in a car, or driving across the country to get to an event because they were so hungry that their hunger, their starvation for success started to overshadow their depression, overshadow their circumstances, overshadow. And I got to tell you, it's a difference in the willingness to change. We can't force people to change unless they're willing to change. But our influence as leaders, that's why I get on this call and I'm not hype, I'm not screaming, I'm not yelling, I'm real. Because deep below the surface, there's so many people that are broken. There's so many people that are lost. There's so many people that have nothing or close to nothing. And our influence, if it's professional, if it's strong, if it's dynamic, can actually truly influence that person into a change, right? That influence can have the capacity to have an effect on the character development or behavior of that person. Your behavior, the words you speak, the beliefs that you genuinely have. This isn't a fake it till you make it thing. This is become a better person, become an abundant person, become someone who's truly willing to serve. Then you will have influence. And then when you have influence, you will have better results because more people will want your leadership. So it's not just about slamming numbers into the comp plan. It's not just about slamming people into your downline. It's about creating a family of people who are truly trying to elevate. And that's true influence. If you have serious, Leah King, if you have serious life change, example, surgery, life changes, how do you support your team? Do you give them to your upline to deal with while you recover? Great question. And I feel like this has a lot to do with influence. See, when people know who you are in your heart, when people know your desire, your consistency, your commitment, they will give you the right people, selfless people, real people, the people who you really want to keep around. They will understand if you're going through something. If you're going through something and it's temporary, if you're going through something and it's real, if you're going through something and it's not an excuse or a cover-up, not saying that yours is, but I have to answer this question generally for everybody. Because I'll tell you, Matt and I have had leaders that did have a situation So they got on the back burner. And instead of working on that situation, they made it worse. And they stay on the back burner for years. And then after a while, you're just like, your excuses don't work anymore. Your, situations in life that started this, they don't count anymore. You're, a long time in this same situation, you actually lose your influence because you don't care enough, unless it's a life or death situation. If you're deathly ill, that's a different story. But if you get in a car accident, God forbid, or you lose, like last year I lost my aunt. My aunt is very important to me. I got it tatted on me, Smith Strong. Like, I have it always on my wrist. She's so important to me. She was one of the only people in my journey that really, truly, genuinely believed in me. Her and my mom, my dad, from the beginning. My dad and I ruffled feathers about entrepreneurship and about, me being in network marketing in the beginning. But my aunt and my mom are the two people that I can say that had my back from day one, that it was genuine. And, I have messages sometimes when I just need like that extra spark. I just go to my Instagram and I pull up my aunt's page and I open up the DMs and I look at all the messages she sent me, while I was on tour. Be safe, while I was on tour, be smart. While I was, grinding, I'm so proud of you. And when she died, I was destroyed. And so I communicated with my leaders. I communicated with Matt. I communicated with the people in my group. And I said, hey, look, my aunt passed away. I'm going to get back to work very soon because I have a burning fire to go out and help people. But I need a few days to myself. And the responses were, dude, 100%. Take as long as you want. Take as long as you need. Matt was like, bro, whatever calls you need me on, whatever leaders hit you up, send them my way. Whatever is needed to be done. I even think I missed an event or something like that, which I barely ever do. We were at A&MP. I was supposed to speak. Okay, this is when you really have influence and when you really are a good person. You'll never have to beg people to let you take a break if it's real. But I was supposed to speak at A&MP the morning that my aunt passed away. And I said, look, I got to get on the flight and go back to New Jersey. And they said, look, you were supposed to speak at like 5 p.m., but we're going to let you speak. We're going to move things around. And they let me speak. And then I went home and I got on a plane. So, if the things that you're going through are legitimate and they're real and you're being honest, then you're never going to have to ask permission for someone else to step in. If you're going through something, step up. If your upline doesn't want to work, then work around them. Use that as passion, because that's not a mentor you want to follow. If somebody genuinely can't step in and take some of your slack, step in if you're going through something real and do your team calls. That's not your friend. That's not your mentor. But there's nothing you can do about that. You can just get fired up. I've had uplines before that I said, dude, these aren't great people. They don't really care about me at all. But if I quit, they'll want me to come back because it's going to hurt their paycheck. But at the end of the day, I don't get salty about it. I never asked to switch teams. I never asked for any of that. I'm real. I said, okay, this person really cares about Jason and the team, and this person really just cares about their own pocket, and that's fine. So I'm going to go become a better leader so that my team never has that issue, so that my leaders never have that opinion about me, so that those people never, ever, ever think that their business is going to fall apart if their life starts to fall apart, because I'll help them put their life back together and I'll help them keep their business together. But that's just real leadership. So there's a big difference between intentions and just people that like to collect checks on Friday. And that's fine, bro. That's fine, guys, because there's people like that in IM. But there's also a lot of great people in IM. And if we work with the great people and we continue to be great people, then the people that have that scarcity, me mindset, eventually they're just going to fade off or they're going to change. And we let God fight those battles. Those are the battles that I say, God, this one's on you. Everybody's having fun on the boat, but I'm having fun right here. Like, man, I'm having fun right now. I'm good. let me just see. Yeah, let me give you guys, because that's slightly off topic, but let me give you guys the 10 things that we talked about when it came to social media, or when I told you to message those 10 people. When I tell you to go out and, message random people on social media, it's a simple connection. It's like, hey, I came across your page and I love your content. I love your vibe. I love what you stand for. I really respect your work ethic, and I'm looking to connect with like-minded people, and that's it. Always give a compliment, let them know why, right? You always want to have a reason why. Don't message people just for the numbers, but message people for the hope that if they, have that same willingness to connect, and maybe they're looking for something bigger in their life, that they'll appreciate the connection. That's what we're on social media to do, right? To network. That's why it's called social networking, right? You're on a social network to be introverted and by yourself. No, we're on social media to socially network. So just send genuine messages. But I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your time. We've been on here for an hour, so I really just wanted to make sure that I went the distance with you. And we'll get this recording up. We'll be home later. I'll be home later tonight, so I'll upload this to my YouTube either later tonight or early tomorrow morning. And guys, day 7, Chairman Bootcamp, is tomorrow. Day 7. And Matt and I are going to attack that day 7 together. So day 7's tomorrow, and then next week we start the blitz calls. Next week, it's going to get real. Next week is when we really go out and make it happen. And by the end of this 30-day run, we're going to double the size of the company. We're going to double the size of this company and change lives around the world. And I'm so excited for it. So appreciate you guys' time. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. See you then. Let's go.